CA entered taxation in my entire CA journey. This is the only paper which hit me so hard that why did I join CA? That was the only paper all across, including final, because number one, coming from MPC background, that was the first time where I had to process a lot of information regarding taxation. The preparation was tough, and as you all know, when you see the paper, taxation paper, it gives you too much information in multiple parts as compared to accounts. Let's say if you look at accounts, one consolidated financial statement, 14 months, you understand it, and it is easy to gather, and it's format based. But when it comes to taxation, you have to continuously keep capturing a lot of information, both in terms of quantity and quality. For example, there are 5 points here. You cannot even miss 1 point, right? Everything triggers something. So the sheer understanding the question paper itself is loaded. Okay. So this itself is loaded. Now, before going to the examination hall, I want you to calm down, because let's say you spend 1 hour in going through multiple adjustments. From all the adjustments which you might go through, let's say 1 or 2 adjustments might come. That is the best probability. Out of 1 hour, whatever you go through, probably 1 or 2 will come, which will be adding 1 or 2 marks. So that is not the problem in taxation. The problem in taxation is writing what you already know. What you do not know, anyways you don't know. So that part ICA will take care that you can't know. So you can't fight with ICA regarding that. But the problem in taxation is, how do you write what you know? That exactly becomes a problem. So there are certain templates. Number one, the fundamental unit of scoring marks in taxation is adjustment. In FR it's something else. In law it's provisions. So the fundamental unit, you score per adjustment. Okay? Something is given here, you score for this adjustment. You score for this adjustment. So the fundamental unit is adjustment. It's not a question. So please do not worry about getting the whole question right. It most likely won't happen. The possibility of getting the whole tax question right is extremely low. I'm telling you, extremely low. It's closer to no. Right? So you score per adjustment, just like MCQ. You score per MCQ, right? Even if it's a case scenario based, you'll get marks for that particular MCQ. Even if the question has multiple points, you get score for that adjustment. Okay. Now, for this to happen, how do you ensure you score per adjustment? The game changer is working notes. Whenever a question comes, once you identify what is asked, let's say computation of total income, the moment there is a question, you break down into 3 to 5 steps. How do you get into the computation of total income? Then in your mind it's clear, you need to get to 5 heads. So each head is a working note, each head is a step. When you're drafting the answer, start focusing on them. Let's say you don't know house property, but you know salaries, you know PCVP, you know capital gains. So you get scores for each of the steps. When you eventually populate into the main answer, you focus heavily on the working note. If you bypass that, it will be a significant drawback, because you lose marks twice. Now, when you do working note properly, at least when you do that step, at least you get score for that. Otherwise, when you're not clear in terms of steps, when the whole answer looks messy, it will go to 0. So be very careful about maintaining working notes and steps, and make it very evident for the examiner to understand. Now, if you look at it, income from house property. See, every point is like a sub answer, right? You write everything in this. Within this, see, let's say you don't know one adjustment, you missed out one adjustment, that's okay. Let's say you don't know that you have to deduct the profit from sale of shares, but at least when you write the other two, there is a possibility of getting some marks for that. So always make sure to maintain crystal clear clarity, expand the answer, okay? Go with the form, expand the answer. This is about adjustments and working notes. This is exactly how you gather marks, okay? Do not try to focus on the whole question. It is almost impossible to get it right. So this is the unit of mark, adjustment plus working note. So maximum you'll get, let's say 2 marks. The challenge is in accounts, you might get, let's say consolidation 8 marks, amalgamation 6 marks. You might get in marks. Here it's only 2 at a time. You get this adjustment right, probably 1, 2. So the path to 40 in taxation is 20 into 2. You understood? It's not like 20 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4. No, that won't happen. 20 into 2. You have to get at least 20 to 25 adjustments right. So that way, even if you get 20 to 25 adjustments wrong, that's okay. So this is very, very important. If you don't know the nature of this examination, you'll go for a toss. Is it clear? Is this understood clearly? Fair enough. Next, for you to enhance the accuracy of the adjustment, how do you enhance the accuracy of the adjustment? You have to understand there are three parts to the question. Normally, any given question, one is the main part which comes into the tablet form. This is the main part, and then something else will be given in the statement. This is the main part. Then there is a statement. You make sure you type this both. When you're looking at this, have an indicator that what is the number here, what is the number here. You have to tag this both. Not only that, once you do this both, there will be something which will create an exception. Normally, this has to be added to this, but because of the exception, this need not be added. Or because of the exception, the rate goes into a different zone. So you need to always be watchful of the exception to the regular adjustment. A lot of students miss this number one, and then they miss this. So the whole thing is gone. So whenever you're doing this, you have to understand what is the entire correlation. When you pick up a particular question, okay, let's say there is something linked to your manufacturing wages. Is there anything given in this? And then is there any exception given separately? So you have to be very careful about these three, which will increase the accuracy of adjustments. Okay, this is very unique about taxation. This is about taxation. Now, for this to happen, again, this is the heart of taxation. For you to pass in taxation, what is the central information? What is given in the statement? Like further in central information, this is the main information, this is further information, and this is exception. This is the format. For this to happen, now these both are subject related aids to get this right. If you do this in this manner, they'll help you to get clarity on how you do it, subject related aids. Now, apart from this, over and above this, you need two things to get this right. One is context switching, one is attention to detail. Now, what is context switching? If you see, house property is a chapter. So when you read house property, then when you move to, let's say, PCBP, it takes days or hours, right? You look at house property very so you solve a lot of problems. But in real time, house property to capital gain should happen in minutes, right? So what normally happens in hours, the context switching, what normally happens in hours, here it has to happen in minutes multiple times. You look at house property, by the time it loads, you just have to move to something else. It's like somebody asking you a question in 3 different languages. So context switching becomes very hard. Parallelly, if you have to do a press conference in multiple languages, you have to quickly work on that. So that consumes a lot of energy. So that's why carry something which gives you that sugar rush constantly. At any given point of time, glucose or whatever, it doesn't solve the whole thing, but it reasonably keeps your mind active. Context switching is energy draining. You'll get exhausted, you'll get drained. Okay? So one is context switching, that is energy linked. But what is the bigger problem is your attention to detail. When we saw the papers, when you look at your answer sheets, most of the time, the mistakes which you're making, so any of the mistakes which you normally make, all of these are attention related mistakes. So you're missing out crucial information because you're not paying enough attention. So there are attention centric mistakes. So when you hold on to a particular sum, time keeps running because you have to solve one more sum. We understand that. 3 more sums, we understand that. But this has to be solved, right? So don't make solving some other sum as an excuse not to do this properly. You understand? So you need to have a sense of time sense. But when you're solving a particular problem, stop everything else and do this. Because there is no reasonable way or there is no freaking way that you'll get all the sums right. You cannot have the level of attention. So when you pick up the first 2 problems, the macro core problems, it could be computation of total income or anything of your choice, invest a lot of energy and mental bandwidth into that. Your brain might get exhausted by the time you get to MCQs. But still that is enough. Okay? So this is very, very, very different about taxation. It's almost like you're writing a different exam. Now when I got back to the original point where I started, when I looked at the paper, for a moment I thought it's not my paper because what I studied, the format of questions and the kind of examples or whatever studied, nothing was there in the paper. I just couldn't correlate. Then when I looked around, everyone was in shock and disbelief. Then I understood, okay, this is the nature of the paper when you write the exam for the very first time. And now I know that the standard of question paper is different from RTP and MTP. At that point of time, we were probably 18, 19, it's very different. And foundations, we had CPT. So from objective to this, it was a huge leap. So within the exam itself, I realized, okay, if it is hard for me, it is hard for everyone. Let me tackle this. Let me handle it the way I can. So that particular paper, I only started looking at grabbing 1-2 marks. Okay, I don't know the whole problem. There is not even one sub question which I know. Forget about the full question. I don't even know one sub question. Let me pick up one by one. Okay, let me get 1-2 marks here. That 1-2 marks, put your heart and soul. Write everything into the working note. Grab it, grab it, grab it. Overall, suddenly, from not knowing the paper, I almost did everything. I know, okay, this could be inaccurate. See, inaccuracy and incompleteness is fine. One is inaccuracy, the other one is incompleteness. So, one of the ways you lose marks. Inaccuracy you don't know, incompleteness you know at least. So, it's a combination of both, but make sure you eventually come to this main objective of using the main information, followed by the further information. An exception for this to happen, use adjustments and working notes, and use context switching and attention to detail. The way you process the question paper becomes the most crucial thing. Okay, so time per se, it's there. Stick to blocks. Let's say half an hour per question. That is exactly, you strictly decide. And MCQs, please do it from 3 to 3:30. Start at 3 o'clock itself, because it's mentally draining. You don't have energy at all. Is this clear? And finish one section and move on to the other one, whether it's GST or income tax. Finish one section completely, then move on to the other. Are we good? Clear? Okay. All the best.